Today we are doing a video that has been 6 months in the making and I'm so excited. I have loved this new spreadsheet I've been using. I love that I have a check-in to do with you guys on this now, and that is I am now tracking my progress on ongoing series that I'm reading and creating a TBR for the next 6 months. And I think that this was a real success. I think this was a great synthesis of mood reading and guided reading, and just overall love that I made so much progress and love having a sense of how much series reading I do, etc. So anyway, this is gonna be a spreadsheet heavy video. So we're gonna whip out ye old laptop here so that I can talk to you guys about what the numbers show. Also, Hastings is having his, daily tripod face rubbing time, which is very important. And honestly, it's pretty rude of me to infringing on that time by needing to use the tripod. So I hope we can all forgive me for daring to get in the way of him living his face rubbing dream here. I'm also sitting in his seat, so all around, just a real travesty. Okay, so now that the spreadsheet is up, let's talk about what I originally envisioned versus where we are now. So what I originally did was I set a TBR of 25 books that I wanted to read in all of the series that I had going. At the time we started this, I had a total of 66 series in progress, and of those, I was behind in some way on 45 of them. So if you'll recall, I have a bunch of different categories to try to capture kind of where I am with a series. So if I am fully caught up to the series, I call that caught up, which makes sense, right? But so it's not a series that I'm done with because it's ongoing and I'll read further installments of it, but I have read as many of them as are out. The kind of parallel statusing for that is behind X number of books. So I have behind 1 book, behind 2 books, or behind 3 or more books. So that's if a series sort of is actively still being released. The other side of that is in progress planned and in progress unplanned. I use that for series that are complete, but I have not finished yet. So if I have like a plan, they're somewhere on a TBR, I have that as planned. And then if it's just sort of vaguely out there drifting, I have that as unplanned. The other thing that I ended up adding, I should tell you, is, well, first of all, completed and DNF'd. So that was something I didn't have last time, and this time I do. And then I also have a new category that I'm calling partial series TBR in progress. And what this means, this is a series that I have a number of books that I want to read in the series, but I'm not planning on being a completionist with the series. So I want to read some, but not all of the entries. This goes against, I should say, the overall philosophy for this spreadsheet, which is this is tracking books in series where I am planning on reading most, if not all, of the books in the series. So the contrast there is there's a number of, like, for instance, mystery or romance series going where I'm not dedicated to reading every single book in that series, but I read in the series. It doesn't feel, though, the same way that these series feel, which is like, I want to finish them and I need to make a plan to do that. So that's kind of the distinction. This is not every single series I'm reading. These are supposed to be the ones that I want to finish. And I've got 3 that I identified as exceptions through this process. So if I am working my way through the series and I realize that I'm not going to be a completionist, I will add it to the partial series TBR so that it doesn't throw off my overall counts as we progress, and I have year-over-year data, which you guys know I love. I'm going to move them into that category. So I had a few that I moved over there. Okay, so in terms of change, well, let's talk about what I learned from this. One, I learned that I actually do read quite a bit from series. So it's not just that I have these series indefinitely kind of floating out there and I have no intention or ability to get through them. What I've realized is I do read quite a bit in series, but I also add series quite often. And this made me much more conscious of that. And I'm hoping that this will let me kind of slow my roll. So I have my series to start list, which currently has 51 series on it, okay? And that is a total of 316 books. So these are all books that I have some or all of the books in it. So that's a lot, and I need to make some progress on the ones I've already read so that when I start these other series that are on my back burner, I can get through them a lot quicker. That's going to be my goal, and that you'll see that in the TBR for this coming 6 months. I want to finish some of the ones that I've already started in the last year and a half, so that they don't end up getting stale, and so that I can remember what the F happens in them, because that's always a struggle too. If I let too much time go in between books, then I can't remember, and I have to reread or find like a decent plot summary somewhere to remind me. It's a whole production. So that is like one of my key findings, is that I do read on my series, but if I am not somewhat thinking about the balance between finishing series and starting them, I can just have an ever-growing pile of ones that I am in flight on. Getting to the change since we last talked. Last time I had 66 series in flight, and now, even though I have started some series and finished some series, some of which I wanted to and some of which I did not, I only have 59 in flight. So I have gone down net negative since we last talked, which to me is definitely a huge win. I also did a little grapharoo to show how many series I have in each of my statuses. The green bar is the total number, and then the orange shows change since the last time we took the stats. So I completed or DNF'd 15 series. That's exciting, right? And had a reduction in pretty much all of my other categories except caught up. I'm at the same place I was previously on caught up, and then I have a few new ones in that new category, which is partial series TBR. So overall, I'm down 7 series in total, and I would say I'm in a better position overall with the series that I have in flight, and I have a new deliberation about those series that I'm not just going to start them willy-nilly. In terms of other changes, my average rating went down 0.31 stars for series since we last talked. So that went to a 3.84. And let's see, the average series length is still the same, which was 7 books long. Average books left to finish has gone down by 0.4. So on average, I only have 1 book left to finish. And I will say I've highlighted several series that only would take 1 book for me to catch up or finish. So even though I'm not necessarily putting those all on my planned TBR, I have them identified, and I have that in the back of my mind that I may try to prioritize those books in this round. So in total, from last time we talked, at that time I had 95 books left to read for me to catch up on every series that I had going. And as of now, that's only 73. Now, some of that is that I've changed the number of books that I have left to read based on some of that partial series TBR category, but I overall think I did a good job of getting through a lot of the books in these series. So that feels great, and I think that my previous assessment, which is to give myself a max of 100 books at any given time, that I'm in progress on a series. Basically, my total series TBR for series that I'm actively reading should be no more than 100 books. That seems like a really reasonable cap, and so I'm going to keep that there. In total, I read or DNF'd 47 books in series since the last time we checked in. And in terms of my TBR adherence rate, I read 96% of the books that I put on my TBR, which was 24 out of the 25 I picked. The one that I did not read was the next book in the Year 1 series by Nora Roberts, and I'm going to just roll that over, I think. So my TBR for the next period is only 18 books. I gave myself a budget of 20 because I think 25 was a little too much structure. I think somewhere in the 20-ish range is probably the right number to put on a 6-month TBR for series for me. So that was the lesson learned there. Now, I want to tell you about what I'm going to do. I like I said, I read or DNF 47 books in series. I'm not going to go through all of those. What I'm going to do is give you a quick rundown of the series that I have finished or DNF'd since we last talked, and give you my kind of overall impressions. First of all, I finished the Spoiler Alert trilogy from Olivia Dade. Overall, I gave that series a 3.5 stars. To me, the clear standout is the first book in that series. The other two, while good, were not nearly, in my opinion, as good, but overall, it's a really lovely world. I really like Olivia Dade's approach to contemporary romance, and I think it's a fun premise. So that one, I enjoyed all of them. There were no bad ones in it, but the series is over, and so I'm gonna have to find new things to read from Olivia Dade. The next one I put is Fallen Empire by Grace Draven, and I've decided I'm not sure if there's more books in the series, but I've decided I'm not going to continue. There had been such a long time between books that it was hard for me to remember everything that came before the last one that I read. I just don't think that I'm going to put in the energy to stay mentally aware of everything I would need to know if there were to be another book. So I would give the series as a whole a 3.5. I think it's a pretty good fantasy romance series, and I think it's a really good choice for people who are looking to get into either genre from either direction. So if you're a romance reader trying to get more into fantasy, or if you're a fantasy reader trying to get more into romance, I think Grace Draven in general is a good pick, and I think the series could be a good one. So I liked this. I would give it a B+, but like I said, I just made the decision that even if another book comes out, I don't think I'm gonna read it. I finished the Inheritance Game trilogy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I would give that series as a whole a 3-star, because the second and third book I thought were way less successful than the first one. The first one, I was willing to kind of go with it on the love triangle aspect, because she actually handles the love triangle aspect in a different series that I love from her a lot better than I feel like she did in this one. But I just felt like this one was kind of repetitive and boring, and I don't know. It was fine, but kind of disappointing after the first book. Not her best. Far and away my least favorite series I've finished from her. The Bill Hodges trilogy, I read against my will. It was a part of the Goodreads Choice Award winners from the last 10 years in mystery thriller. Did not enjoy those. Glad I'm done. I would give the series as a whole probably a 2.5 or a 3, and I don't know. I've heard the TV show is really good, so maybe just watch the TV show, don't read the books. And then I finally finished the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I really loved being back in that world, seeing Percy and Annabeth again, meeting a bunch of really interesting new characters. I think the problem with this series as a whole is that by the time everybody gets together in the third book, there's just way too many point of views for any one character's journey to feel super impactful or memorable. So to me, that's why this series is not as good as the Percy Jackson original series, which to me is a GOAT, especially for a middle grade fantasy series. But I do still think it was really fun. It was, good to be back in the world. I really love his writing style. So 4 stars for that one. It was really good. Also gave 4 stars to the Bridal Quartet series from Nora Roberts, which definitely one of the higher performing contemporary romance type series I've read from Nora Roberts. I think quality wise this one was really consistent, though the ending I think is noticeably the weakest book of the 4. It was still enjoyable. My favorite was Bed of Roses, which I gave 4.5 stars to, and overall I would give this series a 4 stars, and it's definitely one I would recommend for people looking to try a Nora Roberts contemporary romance series. This is one I would point people to. I also finished the Stanislavski series by Nora Roberts, which I did not like as much. It's an 80s, well no, not 80s, I guess, 90s category romance contemporary series that I just don't think it's aged very well, and there's some really good family dynamics, as there always are in Nora Roberts books, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. I just don't think it's aged very well is kind of the bottom line. And then the Celestial Kingdom. I don't even remember what series that is. Oh yeah. Okay, this is the Su Lin Tan, Daughter of the Moon Goddess series. Yeah, I read the first one, I gave it 3 stars. It was fine, but I decided I was gonna DNF that series, so I did not finish the duology, and I think there's also maybe a novella that's coming out. Not reading any of that. Clue mystery series, I would give 3.5 stars. So this is from Diana Petafront, and it's good. The first one definitely was my favorite and is the one I would recommend to people. You could stop after the first one, so if you just want to read that as a standalone, you definitely could. I think it was fun and campy and a really good version of YA aimed at actual teens for mystery thriller, so that gets a thumbs up for me. And yeah, it was good. I would give it 3.5 stars overall. I DNF'd the Scythe trilogy from Neil Shusterman because I just could not get into the Toll, or no, what was it? Thunderhead. I'm not hard DNFing it. I have not unhauled the Toll or Thunderhead, and I will if I'm still not interested in like a year or two from now, but for now I'm DNFing it. It's a it's not you, it's me thing. I think I just waited too long between books and just didn't care anymore about the characters. Okay, and then I finished The Donovan Legacy by Nora Roberts and did not really enjoy it. It's a Paranora series, which is always a hard sell for me, so I gave that series a 2-star overall. There's a couple of things that are okay, but overall, not one I personally would recommend to people. I also DNF the Gold Seer trilogy by Ray Carson. This is one that starts with Walk on Earth as Stranger, and I just realized that I was not interested. I liked that book. It was fine. I think I gave it like a 3.5. I just realized I was not interested enough to keep going in it. It's a YA fantasy western, so if you are looking for a really well-written version of that, I would recommend the series. I just am not personally invested enough to keep going. Ugh. And then tragically, I had someone confirm for me, or tell me at least, and I guess I'm believing them, that we have gotten word from Rebecca Roanhorse that the 6th season, not the 6th season, the 6th World series is indefinitely on hiatus because the publisher didn't want any more books. But I want more books, and it leaves us off in a place where I feel like we need more books. So I desperately hope that at some point I will be able to move this from complete to caught up because there'll be another book coming out. But for now, I'm leaving it incomplete because apparently it is complete for now. Tragique. Okay, and then I DNF'd the Gilead series, which has Gilead, Home, Lila, and Jack. And I just realized when I was trying to read Home and Lila that I don't want it to be a series. Like, I want Gilead to just be a standalone, so I'm not going to keep going in the series and just leave my memories of Gilead where they're at. And then finally, this was not in my original plan, which is why I'm at 18 books for my TBR instead of 20, but I ended up finishing the Realm of the Elderling series. I thought I was gonna have 2 more books left by the time I filmed this, but I don't. I finished them all, and what can I say? Robin Hobb is a cultural reset. I love that whole series. That last trilogy is an absolute banger, and I would give this series as a whole 5 stars. One of my all-time favorite series. Several of the trilogies within them I would consider to be all-time favorite series. Best thing by far that I read for series in the last 6 months. So those are the ones that I completed. I also caught up on a bunch, but I feel like this is getting long, and probably I'll just do a quick run through of what those are without telling you anything about them. So the ones I caught up on, or I had to read at least one book to be in caught up status. The Go Hex Yourself series by Jessica Clare, Mead and Mishap series by Kimberly Lemming, which I may move into a different category because I'm not sure I'm gonna try to read every single one of those, but we'll see. Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Tana Sakata, the Nativity scripts by Nydia Corafor. Oh, I'm actually behind on this. Oh, my stats are off. I was caught up on Ice Planet and Ice Home, which I guess I technically am, but there's a new series that just came out that's like Rajal's Resonance. So know that that's off in my stats. I need to update the spreadsheet. I did read one to, at the time, catch up with that. The Deadlands by Katie Wilde, Amari by B.B. Alston, The Cheque Files by Daniel O'Malley, The Innkeeper's Chronicles by Alona Andrews. I read 2 in the Rizderverse/Corsair series by Ruby Dixon, the Highland Bride series from Lindsay Sands, and the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. So those were all the ones that I caught up with in the last 6 months. And so now that we've talked about everything I've done, let's transition into my TBR for the next 6 months. And like I said, I'm gonna focus on keeping my planned TBR smaller so that I have even more freedom to do some mood reading. But I'm hoping that the next time we talk, currently I have 59 series in flight, and let's say that by the next time we talk, I'd love to have 50 series in flight. I'd love to be done with 9. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna actually add one so that this is a TBR of 19. We're gonna add Rajal's Resonance, which is by Ruby Dixon for her new series that's a spin-off of Ice Home. So that's on my TBR. Encore in Death by J.D. Robb is the next In Death book in her In Death series. So I need to read that. I have a buddy reading project with Leanna starting in May where we're gonna reread The Blade itself. Reread for her, reread for me. In June, we're gonna read Before They Are Hanged, which is a reread for her, but a first read for me. And in July, we're gonna read The Last Argument of Kings, reread for her, first read for me. So this is a series, a trilogy that I will finish during this year. If I end up loving these, however, I may be inadvertently adding to my series TBR because there's more books in this overall world. This is just like a specific trilogy, so we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Okay, and then I've got 2 series that are While the Iron is Hot. I'm going to read them, or I'm going to finish the trilogies. So this is called the Winter Night Trilogy. I read The Bear and the Nightingale in the fall last year, so I want to go ahead and finish The Witch of the Winter, The Winter of the Witch, and The Girl in the Tower. I can't read or remember prepositions apparently. So this is gonna be my fantasy reading project in March. I'm basically using the time I had mentally allocated to finish Realm of the Elderlings. I am giving to 2 books in each month that I was planning on doing that. So this is what's gonna replace that in March. And then in April, I'm going to finish the Broken Earth trilogy. So I'm going to read The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky. So I'm very excited about this because this was also one I read, I think, I want to say like late spring last year. So within a year I will have finished. And I will say binging recently on this Fitz and the Fool series has reminded me how much I enjoy binging a series straight through. So this is something I'm looking forward to doing with both of those series. What else? Okay, I'm going to finish the, oh God, what is the original one? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm going to finish that trilogy with Good Girl, Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. So this is a YA mystery one. These should be pretty easy to get to and slot in. So gonna go ahead and polish off that one. I actually am gonna read, I guess probably 2 books. Yeah, I'm gonna read 2 books in the Barsetshire Chronicles because I'm gonna try to finish this series this year. So I'm gonna read Dr. Thorne, and I think the next one is Framley Parsonage. So I've got 2 books in that series on the TBR for the next 6 months. I am going to finish off The Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. This is the, don't tell me, I forget what this series is called, but this is a duology that's like a dystopian, and I actually really enjoyed the first one, but I've heard that this one is even better than Parable of the Sower, so I'm very excited to finish off this dystopian sci-fi duology from Octavia Butler. Oh, and I don't have my copy of this yet, but by the time you guys are seeing this, this book is out. The next entry in The Adventure Zone by the McElroy family. I have listened to the podcast, but this will be me reading the graphic novelization of it so that I can stay caught up there. And then 2 other series that the book has not yet come out as of this filming, but will have by the time we get to, or I think they will have. If they haven't, no, we'll proceed accordingly. But I believe both of these will have their next entry out. So the Psy Changeling series definitely will have Resonance Surge out, I think in June or July. So I will read that. And then I think the final in Rebecca Roan Horses Between Earth and Sky trilogy should be out before August. But if it's not, then I will defer that to the next TBR. And then the last 2 on the TBR is that I do want to go ahead and finish up the Year One trilogy from Nora Roberts. I was supposed to read 1 book and didn't, but I'm gonna read both of them in this 6-month period. And then there's 1 book out from Ruby Dixon's Anchor and Aspect series that I haven't read, which is Wed to the Wild God. So I'm gonna read that one so that I can be caught up with it and ready for the next book. Yeah, those are all of the books on the TBR. And excitingly, by the time we have another check-in, I think I should be able to have some like trending data lines to show you. Won't that be a thrill? It will be for me. Like I said, my goal is that when we talk next, I should have 50 series in flight, which I think is definitely doable because, as I don't know if you could tell from this this discussion. I have a lot of books where I just need, like it's a trilogy and I've read the first one but not the next two, or it's a duology and I've read one but just need to read one more. That's going to be kind of like my quick hitters that I'm going to try to get through, a lot of those in the next 6 months, but also so that I can have that kind of like binge reading experience that I know that I enjoy so much. So yeah, this was so fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed getting ready for it and planning it and everything. And I'm excited for my next 6 months of series reading. Let me know what you thought about any of the books I talked about. Let me know if you think that I'm wildly too ambitious on this. That is entirely possible. But yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!